let's have a look at the system setup, which is going to be quite heavily used when you first get your ACE3 controller, as this is where you can put in locomotive names, accessory names, you can name your function keys, etc. So let's go on system setup. It'll ask if you want to turn the power off. We're going to say yes, and here is everything in the system setup. Now, let's have a look from top to bottom what we've got. We've got consisting, which is basically where you can double, triple, quadruple head and more various locos together so that you can match their directions, you can get functions operating together, and then you only have to select one locomotive's number for it to run however many you put in that consist. Train list is the one that has all your stored trains on the system, because any trains you don't store on the system, even if you selected the number, they will clear from the list when you turn it off and next restart. The accessory list is very much like the train list, but for points and signals. Function names is the one where you can change what F0, F1, F2, F3 and so on for all your different functions on your locomotive are. You can put different names in. On version 1.2, that is limited to 6 characters, but with the upcoming releases of firmware, then that will be probably increased to 2 lines of 6 characters per line. You've then also got on here route setting, and this is where you can set up your one press routes that will set points or signals or both together on a touch of one button. Along here as well, you've got the current firmware number, you've got the overload trip limit, which is quite handy if you've got let's say an N-gauge layout running a couple of locos. You don't want a trip limit to necessarily be 6 amps. You can turn that right down to 1 amp, and it just means that you're setting the current level to appropriately for the layout you're running and the amount of trains and accessories you're running. The sound on and off slider is there, and you can also adjust the display brightness to suit whichever you need it to be. So let's look at the most important one on this list, I think, which is train list. In the train list, it'll come up with the default loco, and you'll find that most of these screens have a built-in set of instructions here. So this one says press loco and type the loco number. So I'm going to press loco, and I'm going to select loco number 1. Press OK. Then type the name or press delete. Now the reason it says or press delete is if you wanted to remove a loco from your list, you key in the number, press OK, then press delete and it will remove it. But we're not doing that, we're adding one. So let's add this first one and we'll call it, let's see what loco we've got. We're going to go with the class 68 that's on there. So we'll put in CL space 6 and 8. If I make a mistake, I just press the back button, it'll delete the last character, and then I can type in what I need. Press OK. It will now flash function set, and at the moment it's flashing function set A. There's 26 different function sets that you can save, and the function sets are basically your buttons that have the either the words on what they are, so for lights and sound and so on, or they'll have F1, F2, F3. You can create 26 different versions of that list depending on the locos, and that will be expanded up to at least 52 in update 1.38. So I've completed that. I'm going to leave it on function set A. I'm going to press OK. That saves that one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the exit button. I'm going to go on panel drive, and if I press list, you'll see now in the list loco number 1 is there, and it says class 68. So that is now saved. And if I tap on it, let's see. Oh, let me go back. If I tap on it, it's selected in here. I just need to press the OK button to run it. I'm not going to because I don't need to run that one. If I want to delete that now, I go back to system setup, train list, press loco, press number 1, press OK, and it's coming up. There it is, class 68, and I'm going to press delete. Now it'll say, are you sure you want to delete? Yes, that has now gone from the list. So that loco is number 15, so I'm going to press loco 15, and I'm going to call loco 15 class 68 because that's what it is. There we go, and it says saved. So I'm going to go back now to panel drive, go back to my list, select number 15, and there it is, class 68 15, and that will now all function. But I want to change what these F keys show, because F1 is the sound on and off, F2 is the brake, 3 and 4 are horns. So let's have a look how to change that in system setup. I'm now going to go on function names. I'm going to select function number 1, press OK, and again it has the instructions here how to actually select. You'll notice I've pressed function number, then I've typed the number, I've pressed OK. It now asks me which function set if I want to change. So I'm going to change function set capital A. The update allows you to have upper and lowercase letters, which means there's 26 lowercase and 26 uppercase. I'm going to press OK on that. Function 1, I'm going to delete F1 out of there, and I'm going to call that sound. And the option here for the slider is to have it as latching or momentary. Latching means when you press the button once, it will stay on. You've got to press it again to turn it off. And then momentary means when you press it, it will go on. When you release it, it will go off. And that's useful for horns and whistles and that sort of thing. So I'm happy with that one. I'm now going to do the other ones as well. Now that's complete and I've done up to function 4, I'm going to go back to the panel drive, and you can see now on the panel drive it shows all the words that I've put in. You'll notice that the latching ones, the lights and the sound, which I want to stay on when I press them once, are in blue, and the non-latching ones, the brake, the horn and the horn, are in green. An easy way to see, and if I go on the more button, you will see that the rest of them are all on blue on latching by default, and yes, you need to go through and change them if you had something like, say, like a guard's whistle or similar to non-latching. So it takes a little bit of time to set up a loco, but it's worth going through. One of the things that may be worth doing as well is creating a separate list on paper, just so you know what function set has what set on it for the names. You could create one that's for diesel, one that's for steam, etc. You've got plenty to play with. Now I'm going to test. Have the lights come on. The red lights have come on the end. I'm going to put it into forward. You can see the cab lights have come on, or should I say reverse, but it's our forward with the way it's going that way. I'm going to start it moving with the slider. I'm going to cut it to 0, try the brake functions, change direction back the other way. Brake again, turn the sound on, and try the horns. In this section, we're going to look at system setup and the accessory list. So I'm going to create a number of accessories in the accessory list. 1 is always the default accessory, so I'm going to start from number 2. So accessory 2, OK. I'm going to call this P2, point 2, and I'm going to do accessory 3. I'm going to call it P3, and I'm going to create one final accessory and call it, let's see, number 4, press OK, signal 1. So now if I go back to accessory control and look on list, you can see P2, P3 and S1 just here. Now in order to put them into a route, I have to go back into system setup, click on route settings, and I'm presented with this screen, which can look a little bit daunting at first, but it has got instructions. So it says press route, then type number. So I'm going to call this route number 1 and press OK. I'm going to clear out not allocated by pressing back multiple times. And I'm going to call this station to yard. Now I've got the name in there, I'm going to press OK. Then, as it says on here, press OK, then press accessory boxes and type the number and set the state with the toggle. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to select 0.2 and I can change the toggle from reversed or normal. And I'm going to have that one as normal. I'm going to go on the next one, 3 as normal. And then on the next one, I'm going to have 4, which is, don't forget, it's the digital address number, not the name. I'm going to have that as reverse, so that's the signal showing it's clear. Now that I'm happy with that, and of course you can go on adding loads of different accessories. You can change the switch delay as well, but we're going to leave everything as it is. I'm now going to press OK, and it says up here, saved. Press the exit button, go on to accessory control, and now I'm going to press route. And if I look on the list for routes, you can see the top one up here, it says station to yard. The rest of these are not allocated, and if I scroll down, you can see that it's possible to have 80 routes stored in the controller. You can see in this white box, I've got 2, 3, and 4, and they're all set to normal. By pressing the set button, it will go through, each one will flick, and it will set it to the relevant direction. And did you notice that it says please wait in the middle? So in the middle of setting a route, don't exit the screen, otherwise it won't completely set it. Now that's set, I could drive a train out where it needs to go. Whatever state the points and signal were in, if I press the clear button, it will now go back through and it will reset them back to their original state, whether they were normal or reversed. And you can do that for 80 different routes. Again, it's quite handy to have a separate pad of paper to make a note of these, as it can take a little while to set them up.